eventually grows too big to be effective.
Wait, every organization, I mean, I've definitely felt that before where things just start to fall apart, but that happens to everyone. Why?
Just think about your own team.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like decisions were taking forever or the communication was breaking down?
Oh, all the time.
And it was just harder to get anything done.
Yes, absolutely. It's like everyone is just kind of paddling in different directions.
Welcome to Witter. Who Has Time to Read? The podcast that brings deep dives for busy minds. Listen to AI hosts Jane and Dane and get ready to unpack the world's most captivating books in just a fraction of the time. Whether commuting, working out, or just squeezing in a quick break, we deliver key insights, thought-provoking themes, and takeaways you can carry into your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Plus, use our links in the description to purchase this book. Your support helps us bring more engaging book discussions to you. Listen and follow us wherever you get your podcasts. Who has time to read? You do, with Witter.
Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into Built to Beat Chaos. It's a really fascinating book by Gary Harpst. It really gets you thinking differently about leadership and purpose, especially in a world that just, feels increasingly chaotic.
Yeah, it really does make you rethink things. And, right off the bat, the book challenges us to see chaos not as this enemy that we need to avoid, but as a resource.
Okay, I like that. Like a resource. How do we use chaos as a resource, though?
Well, think of it almost like raw material, like clay in the hands of an artist.
Oh, okay, I get it. So instead of letting it kind of just overwhelm us, we can actually use it to create something.
Yeah, exactly. Just like clay needs to be molded and shaped, chaos needs purpose and skill to be transformed into something meaningful.
But chaos can feel so overwhelming at times. It's hard to know where to even begin.
Well, Harpst kind of breaks it down into 3 different types of chaos. There's natural chaos, like think of natural disasters, things that we can't control. And then there's social chaos, which comes from just the unpredictable way that people interact with each other.
Right, yeah. People can be unpredictable.
And then there's the chaos within, that internal struggle when what we want to do and what we're actually doing just don't quite line up.
Oh, that last one that really hits home, I think. But the book doesn't just leave us to drown in chaos, right? It actually gives us a way to move forward.
Not at all.
Well,
it actually argues that we as humans are designed to conquer chaos. And to illustrate this, Harpst dives into the biblical creation narrative and really highlights how humans are made in God's image.
Oh, interesting. So we're almost like, mini creators designed to shape the world around us.
Yeah, precisely. We have this inherent creative capacity to bring order out of chaos.
I love that.
And this isn't about being victims of our circumstance, but stepping into that role as victors.
That is a powerful shift in perspective, for sure. But, the Bible also talks about humans having dominion over the earth. So how does that fit in with responsibly conquering chaos in the modern world?
That's a really, really important question. Because dominion in this context, it isn't about controlling or exploiting the earth.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's more about having a responsibility to cultivate it, to nurture it, to guide it.
So almost like being caretakers in a way.
Yeah, using our creative powers for good in a way that benefits not just ourselves, but the entire planet.
I like that take a lot. So we're not just conquerors, but we're also caretakers. But how do we actually go about conquering chaos in this responsible way? I know the book talks about human architecture with desire, thought, intention, and action. What does that even mean?
It's like a blueprint for how our inner world turns into real world impact. So we have a desire for something, we think about how to get it, we form an intention, and then we take action.
It sounds a lot like aligning our thoughts and actions with our desires.
Yeah, exactly. And here's where the book's perspective on what evil is gets really fascinating.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting. Okay, tell me more.
Because it's not about some external bad force or villain. Harpst digs into the biblical meaning of the word, which is more about something like rotting or failing to fulfill its intended purpose.
Okay, hold on. So evil is like a rotting apple. I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Yeah, in a sense, yes. Because think about it, a rotting apple is no longer fulfilling its purpose as food. So it's become evil because it's no longer aligned with what it was designed to do.
That's a really interesting way to look at it. So evil is about internal misalignment, like being disconnected from our true purpose.
Precisely. And that's why purpose becomes so important. Because what's considered good or bad really depends on the intended purpose.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this all connects, but can you give me a real-world example of how purpose shapes our view of, like, what's good or bad?
Think about the artist Monet. He would actually destroy his own paintings if they didn't meet his standards.
He destroyed his own artwork. Wow. So even in something as subjective as art, purpose determines what's good or bad.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because his artistic vision, his purpose, was the standard he measured his work against. And if a painting didn't match up, he saw it as, well, not worthy of existing.
Okay, that's a powerful image. So we've talked about chaos, human design, purpose, and even this whole new way of looking at what evil is. But how does this apply to leadership, in the real world, especially in like companies and organizations?
That's where we get into this idea of what Harpst calls the execution paradox. He explains it as this almost inevitable point where every single organization eventually grows too big to be effective.
Wait, every organization, I've definitely felt that before where things just start to fall apart, but that happens to everyone. Why?
Just think about your own team.
Yeah.
Have you ever felt like decisions were taking forever or the communication was breaking down?
Oh, all the time.
And it was just harder to get anything done.
Yes, absolutely. It's like everyone is just kind of paddling in different directions. But how do you fix that? How do you keep everyone aligned and moving towards the same goal when things get that complex?
That's the paradox. And the book actually lays out some strategies for dealing with it. And it all comes down to effective leadership.
Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more.
Leaders who get the dynamics of growth and the importance of purpose, they can actually create systems and structures that maintain that alignment.
So it's not just about having a vision, it's about actually creating a system that can make that vision a reality.
Yeah, and that's what we'll be diving into next.
So we've established that even the best vision needs like a solid system to back it up, right? Especially when an organization starts to grow and things get more complex. What are we talking about here when we say systems? What does Harpst suggest?
Well, he really emphasizes that the system needs to fit the type of work being done.
Yeah.
So there's not like a, one size fits all.
Right. Okay. So different situations call for different systems.
Yeah, exactly. And he actually outlines 3 different leadership models that I think are incredibly insightful. The first is the freedom model, then there's the agility model, and finally the precision model.
3 models. Okay, I'm intrigued. Break those down for me.
Okay, so imagine the freedom model as like a natural garden.
Okay, a garden.
It worked best for individuals who really thrive with like autonomy, They don't need constant direction. Think like researchers, creatives, entrepreneurs in those like early stages of a startup.
Okay, got it. So lots of freedom and space to explore new ideas and stuff. What about agility?
Yeah, so the agility model is more like a football team.
Okay, I can see that. In football, you have to be able to adapt quickly, right? The game is constantly changing.
Exactly. Everyone knows the overall game plan, but you also need to be able to like call an audible when things go sideways.
Yeah, you need to be able to respond to what the other team is doing, make adjustments on the fly.
Right. And that's what the agility model is all about. Aligning everyone on the overall goal, but giving them room to make decisions and take action in the moment. And then you have the precision model.
Okay, what's that one like?
The precision model. Think more like a symphony orchestra.
So very coordinated. Everyone has to be perfectly in sync for it to work.
Precisely. If one musician is off, the whole thing falls apart. It's all about that precision, that really tight coordination.
So basically, you as a leader need to figure out like what kind of orchestra you're conducting, right?
Exactly, or what kind of team you're coaching, and then build a system that supports that.
So we're building systems, choosing the right leadership model for the situation. What else does Harpst recommend? What other kind of hands-on advice does the book offer?
Well, he really emphasizes the power of one-on-one conversations.
Okay, good old-fashioned one-on-ones. I'm all about that. I feel like those are so important, but what does Harpst specifically say about them?
He's not just talking about, quick check-ins or those like, status updates.
Right, yeah, more than that.
This is about really dedicated, focused time where a leader sits down with each member of their team.
I see, giving them your full attention. Why is that so important, though?
Well, in a busy work environment, it's so easy to just get caught up in like, the day-to-day stuff.
Yeah, just putting out fires all the time.
And you lose sight of the individuals who are actually making things happen.
Yeah, for sure.
And those one-on-one conversations, they provide this space to really connect, to understand what's motivating each person and even like uncover those little roadblocks or challenges before they, turn into big problems.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like preventative maintenance almost, catching things early before they spiral out of control.
Exactly. And these conversations also remind people that they're valued, that their contribution matters, that, their leader is invested in their success. And the book actually highlights research showing that just 1 hour of dedicated one-on-one time a week.
It's just 1 hour.
Okay. Can significantly increase employee engagement, their productivity, even their creative output.
Wow, 1 hour a week can make that much of a difference. That's incredible.
It can. And, I think it speaks to the power of just, genuine human connection.
Absolutely. People want to feel seen and heard. They want to know that their work matters.
Right. When people know that someone cares about them, not just about their output, they're more likely to, bring their A game.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about checking boxes or giving instructions. It's about really fostering that deeper connection within the team.
Exactly. Creating this culture where people feel supported, encouraged, and empowered to share their talents and ideas.
It all comes down to building relationships, right? And that leads us to another key aspect of the book that I'm excited to dig into, the concept of agape love. Now, Harpst talks about leading with love, but he's not talking about, romantic love.
Right.
No.
He's talking about agape love.
Okay, agape love. What is that exactly?
It's this Greek word for a specific kind of love. Think of it like unconditional care and concern for others.
Unconditional care and concern for others. Okay, I think I get the idea. But how does that apply to leadership? I mean, how does a leader actually practice agape love?
Well, imagine a leader who genuinely wants what's best for their team.
Okay, yeah.
Not just because it helps the company's bottom line, but because they care about each person's well-being and growth. That's agape love in action.
So it's about going beyond just managing people and actually caring about the individuals.
Exactly. And it's not just some feel-good concept. It actually has a huge impact on, how teams perform.
I can see that.
Right.
But how do we actually bring agape love into the workplace? I mean, it can't always be about these big grand gestures, right? What does it look like in our everyday interactions?
Well, actually, Harpst tells this really moving story in the book that perfectly illustrates this idea.
Okay, I'm all ears.
He tells this story about a man named Harold. Harold goes above and beyond to connect with some people who are having financial difficulties.
Harold.
And instead of just offering generic advice, he actually takes the time to listen to their struggles, really understand their situation, and then, he does something amazing. He gives them a significant amount of money just to help them get back on their feet.
Wow. That's incredibly generous. And I mean, that's a perfect example of, leading with agape love. But like you said, we can't all be handing out large sums of money. So how do we, cultivate this type of unconditional care in our everyday work lives?
Well, it really starts with kind of a shift in mindset,
Yeah.
Seeing the people you work with, not just as coworkers or employees, but as full human beings, people with their own needs and goals and, challenges.
So putting yourself in their shoes, basically, really trying to understand their perspective.
Exactly. It's about really listening, actively listening, asking questions and showing that you're interested in their well-being. And then it's about, putting that understanding into action. So maybe offering to help with a project when you see someone struggling, or just taking the time to acknowledge someone's hard work, celebrate their successes.
Yeah, making them feel seen and appreciated. It sounds like it's about creating a work culture where everyone feels supported and encouraged and valued for who they are, not just what they produce.
Exactly. And when you have that kind of environment, it's amazing what people can accomplish.
Right. They're more engaged, more productive, more willing to put in the extra effort.
And it creates this positive feedback loop, a culture of excellence that benefits everyone.
It's like that saying, a rising tide lifts all boats. And speaking of lifting each other up, this whole conversation has really highlighted, this idea from the book that we're not just meant to survive chaos, but to actually conquer it.
Exactly. And remember, we're not just talking about external chaos here.
Right. It's also about what's going on inside.
That's right. It's also about conquering the chaos within ourselves.
Those inner doubts and struggles, all the stuff that can hold us back.
Exactly. So it's like a two-pronged approach, building those systems and structures to help us navigate the external chaos, but also cultivating the mindset and the heart to overcome
both of ourselves and of others.
Exactly. And built to beat chaos it really gives us the tools and the, inspiration to do that.
It's been such a great conversation. I mean, we've really dug deep into this book, and I feel like I've learned so much to think about and apply, in my own life.
Me too. It's been a great deep dive. And as we wrap up here, I'd like to leave everyone with a question. If you could conquer one area of chaos in your life right now, what would it be? And what's one small step you could take today to move in that direction?
That's a great question. Something for all of us to ponder. And remember, you don't have to figure everything out all at once. Just start with that one small step and trust the process. Built to Beat Chaos reminds us that even amidst all the crazy stuff, we can create a life with more purpose, more meaning, and more joy. So go out there and make it happen.